Well, early voting continues today for the December 11th election. There are a few measures on ballots across our region, including tax proposals for those of you in Jefferson Parish. And this morning, we're learning what those funds will go towards if they're approved. Jefferson Parish President Cynthia Sheng is joining us with details on these millages. And thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me, Sheba. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're here because, as I said, I think a lot of us get into the ballot box when it's time to vote, and people don't often understand these millages, and so they just click something. These are actually two very important ones for the parish.
These are two important millages. These are tax renewals. These are not new taxes, and they're kind of confusing because, you know, they represent a lot of different services across the board that we rely on, but they're not as easy to understand as water or sewer or drainage. But they carry, they involve public safety and our criminal justice system, our parks and recreation, our culture, senior services, as well as business economic development. So a lot of things are important on here. So if you have children that go to recreational facilities, Bucktown Marina, Parc des Familles, Lafreniere Park, this would be important to you. If you're a senior and you get your Meals on Wheels, or you go on field trips or go to a senior center, this would be important to you. So a lot of it pays the salaries of 30% of the prosecutors in the parish. So kind of a different kind of millage because it handles so much, but still very, very important for us.
Sure, and these will bring in $4 million a year, right, altogether?
No, actually, altogether, one of the millages brings in about $4 million, and the other brings in about $8 million.
Gotcha.
So, you know, you're looking at nearly $12 million on all these different programs.
Wow, and I think that sounds like a lot of money to voters. Kind of talk about how that breaks down for each individual property owner.
Right. So the so if you have a house that is, we'll say an average of a $200,000 house, and you live in one of our municipalities, it's only $12 a year, which is, you know, $1 a month. If you live in unincorporated Jefferson Parish and not one of the municipalities, you're going to pay $43 a year, which is, again, very, very reasonable given the amount of services that you're getting with these millages. And we just want to remind everybody they can still early vote today and tomorrow, and then the election day is December 11th.
And then, as you mentioned, these are not new. They've been in place actually for a long time, since 2005. Voted back in, they would last for 10 years after 2025, right?
Exactly. We're kind of going out early on this, but they would go into effect in 2025. They've been in there since 2005. And again, it's kind of one of the more confusing millages because, you know, you have to split it up. 1 mill is a lot of money for one program. So when you have these programs that don't require a lot of money, we have to kind of bundle them together. So we're kind of calling it, you know, public safety, quality of life, a lot of programs coming out of this. Again, public safety, culture and parks, Jefferson Performing Arts Center comes out of here, tot lots, walking trails, bike trails, you know, all kind of things. Even we lure national companies here, and we kind of try to sweeten the deal a little bit on the business incentive front. So many different things are wrapped up in these two millages. They're very, very important to us.
Definitely. And what if they don't pass? What does this look like for the parish?
Well, if they don't pass, it's like anything. If the funding stops, then the services have to stop. And so, you know, these are very critical to these programs across the parish for us. So we would have to make the cuts that, you know, where these, you know, fund the services. So we would not like to see them not pass. We hope that voters get out, and that's the purpose, and we appreciate you really just getting awareness out, because this is a campaign where you don't see people's faces out on the streets running for office, and people aren't waving signs. So people don't even, you know, this is kind of a sleepy election.
Yeah. It's true. And as I mentioned, when you get into the ballot box, it doesn't help that the wording on a lot of these sometimes is so confusing that you don't know what a yes or no vote actually means. So we appreciate you keeping voters informed.
Absolutely. And you have other elections, too. You have some Grand Isle measures. You have some measures in Westwego, Old Metairie security enhancements. So many other things on the ballot, depending on where you live.
Definitely. And so one other thing, since this isn't going to start until 2025, if they don't pass, could voters see this later on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If it didn't pass again, that's why we give ourselves more time, and we're able to take, you know, what we say, a couple bites at the apple. But we did go out early for this because it is a confusing one, you know, because the title of these it just wraps up so many programs in it.
Definitely. From recreation to public safety, if this passes, this would avoid some critical cuts to services in those areas. So Cynthia Sheng, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. And Jefferson is not the only parish heading to the polls December 11th. People will also be voting in Orleans, St. Tammany, Lafourche, Tangipahoa, and Washington parishes. If you don't want to wait until the 11th to vote, then you have until tomorrow to vote early, and that's from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you still got today and tomorrow. If you plan to vote by mail, you need to request a mail-in ballot by Tuesday, December 7th. You'll have to turn that in by December 10th.